Tom Edison's Shaggy Dog, read by David Strifinger. Two old men sat on a park bench one morning in the sunshine of Tampa, Florida, one trying doggedly to read a book he was plainly enjoying, while the other, Harold K. Bullard, told him the story of his life in the full, round head tones of a public address system. At their feet lay Bullard's Labrador retriever, who further tormented the aged listener by probing his ankles with a large, wet nose. Bullard, who had been, before he retired, successful in many fields, enjoyed reviewing his important past. But he faced the problem that complicates the lives of cannibals, namely, that a single victim cannot be used over and over. Anyone who had passed the time of day with him and his dog refused to share a bench with them again. So Bullard and his dog set out through the park each day in quest of new faces. They had had good luck this morning, for they had found this stranger right away, clearly a new arrival in Florida, still buttoned up tight in heavy serge, stiff collar, and necktie, and with nothing better to do than read. "Yes," said Bullard, rounding out the first hour of his lecture. "Made and lost 5 fortunes in my time." "So you said the stranger, whose name Bullard had neglected to ask. "Easy, boy. No, boy," he said to the dog, who was growing more aggressive toward his ankles. "Oh, already told you that, did I?" said Bullard. "Twice." "2 in real estate, 1 in scrap iron, and 1 in oil, and 1 in trucking." "So you said." "I did? Yes, guess I did. 2 in real estate, 1 in scrap iron, 1 in oil, and 1 in trucking. Wouldn't take back a day of it." "No, I suppose not," said the stranger. "Pardon me, do you suppose you could move your dog somewhere else? He keeps—" "Him?" said Bullard heartily. "Friendliest dog in the world. Don't need to be afraid of him." "I'm not afraid of him. It's just that he drives me crazy sniffing at my ankles." "Plastic," said Bullard, chuckling. "What?" "Plastic. Must be something plastic on your garters. By golly, I bet it's those little buttons. Sure as we're sitting here, those buttons must be plastic. That dog is nuts about plastic. Don't know why that is, but he'll sniff it out and find it if there's a speck around. Must be a deficiency in his diet, though by gosh, he eats better than I do. Once he chewed up a whole plastic humidor. Can you beat it? That's the business I'd go into now, by glory, if the pill rollers hadn't told me to let up and give the old ticker a rest." "You could tie the dog to that tree over there," said the stranger. "I get so darn sore at all the youngsters these days," said Bullard. "All of them mooning around about no frontiers anymore. There never have been so many frontiers as there are today. You know what Horace Greeley would say today?" "His nose is wet," said the stranger, and he pulled his ankles away, but the dog humped forward in patient pursuit. "Stop it, boy." "His wet nose shows he's healthy," said Bullard. "Go plastic, young man. That's what Greeley'd say. Go at 'em, young man." The dog had definitely located the plastic buttons on the stranger's garters and was cocking his head one way and another, thinking out ways of bringing his teeth to bear on those delicacies. "Scat," said the stranger. "Go electronic, young man," said Bullard. "Don't talk to me about no opportunity anymore. Opportunity's knocking down every door in the country trying to get in. When I was young, a man had to go out and find opportunity and drag it home by the ears. Nowadays—" "Sorry," said the stranger evenly. He slammed his book shut, stood, and jerked his ankle away from the dog. "I've got to be on my way. So, good day, sir." He stalked across the park, found another bench, sat down with a sigh, and began to read. His respiration had just returned to normal when he felt the wet sponge of the dog's nose on his ankles again. "Oh, it's you," said Bullard, sitting down beside him. He was tracking you. He was on the scent of something, and I just let him have his head. What'd I tell you about plastic? He looked about contentedly. Don't blame you for moving on. It was stuffy back there. No shade to speak of, and not a sign of a breeze.
Would the dog go away if I bought him a humidor?
Said the stranger. Pretty good joke, said Bullard amiably. Suddenly he clapped the stranger on his knee. Say, you aren't in plastics, are you? Here I've been blowing off about plastics, and for all I know, that's your line.
My line? Said the stranger crisply, laying down his book. Sorry, I've never had a line. I've been a drifter since the age of 9. Since Edison set up his laboratory next to my home and showed me the intelligence analyzer.
Edison? Said Bullard. Thomas Edison, the inventor?
If you want to call him that, go ahead,
said the stranger. If I want to call him that? Bullard guffawed. I guess I just will. Father of the light bulb, and I don't know what all.
If you want to think he invented the light bulb, go ahead. No harm in it. The stranger resumed his reading.
Say, what is this? Said Bullard suspiciously. You pulling my leg? What's this about an intelligence analyzer? I never heard of that.
Of course you haven't, said the stranger. Mr. Edison and I promised to keep it a secret. I've never told anyone. Mr. Edison broke his promise and told Henry Ford, but Ford made him promise not to tell anybody else, for the good of humanity.
Bullard was entranced. This intelligence analyzer, he said. It analyzed intelligence, did it?
It was an electric butter churn, said the stranger.
Seriously now, Bullard coaxed.
Maybe it would be better to talk it over with someone, said the stranger. It's a terrible thing to keep bottled up inside me year in and year out, but how can I be sure that it won't go any further?
My word as a gentleman, Bullard assured him.
I don't suppose I could find a stronger guarantee than that, could I? Said the stranger, judiciously.
There is no stronger guarantee, said Bullard proudly. Cross my heart and hope to die.
Very well. The stranger leaned back and closed his eyes, seeming to travel backward through time. He was silent for a full minute, during which Bullard watched with respect. It was back in the fall of 1879, said the stranger at last, softly. Back in the village of